Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks. This is the show where we geek out with beer. I'm Frank. That's right, I'm Frank.
And I'm Rhi.
And this is Rhi. Rhi is here.
Hello, hello.
Rhi has been a longtime friend of the show, friend of mine for many years, and she has contributed to the show in many ways. This is her first time guesting on the show, but she has contributed the album artwork that you're looking at right now that's so lovely. She's created the Thought Bubble Audio logo. She is the awesome person that makes these things happen, and I'm so glad to finally have her on the show. Welcome.
Thanks. I actually forgot that I did that logo. That's exciting. Hi.
Your artwork is all over this place.
That is true.
Oh, I am so excited to have you on the show. You are such an awesome geek about so many cool things. And I have wanted to get you on the show forever, and I'm really, really glad that I've finally found exactly the perfect excuse to trick you into doing this with me.
Trick? Well, I never.
But seriously, thank you for joining me. And what are you drinking there?
I have a McKenzie's hard cider.
Ooh, nice. I don't know if
it's very
I've tried...
cinnamony.
Oh, okay, cool. McKenzie's hard cider. I am actually not familiar with that one.
I wasn't either. My friend brought it over, and it was in my fridge.
Huh, nice. I really like the. So it's cinnamon. That's cool.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a cinnamony taste, but it says original, so.
Okay. Huh, cool. Well, I am drinking a Not Your Father's root beer. I haven't had one of these in a while.
I love those.
Oh, aren't they so good?
They're so good.
So I'm still shocked at how good these things are. Like, they're just, I did not expect such a, like, flavorful taste, such a kind of complex taste from such a, like, I don't know, just a hard root beer. It's so good.
I think the fact that it doesn't really taste alcohol-y is dangerous.
It's dangerous. It is deadly. Like, if I die, this is why.
Oh dear.
That's my endorsement of Not Your Father's root beer.
Well,
so good it kills.
Hang on. Do you have two livers?
I may have two hearts, but I don't have two livers. Yes. Yes, that's right. We are here to talk about Doctor Who, but not just any Doctor. We're here to talk about the 13th Doctor. The very, very exciting announcement that the 13th Doctor will finally be a lady.
Which is so unbelievable.
So do you want to really quick take the audience through your like history with Doctor Who and like how you became a Whovian?
Sure. So trying to think. So I think the first ever episode I watched was Blink, because of course.
Of course.
I sat down with my mom and she's like, you got to watch this show. And I'm like, I don't know what this show is. So I sat down, I watched it, and like, that was really scary. I don't think I ever want to look at a like statue of anything again. And she's like, the rest of the show is really corny, but you're going to love it.
Aww.
So of course in college, I kept on, I think it was Tumblr. I kept on seeing all these like Eccleston dancing gifs and the Don't Blink David Tennant stuff and the wibbly wobbly timey wimey. And I'm like, all right, what is this show? I got to give it a chance. And that first episode with Eccleston and all of the mannequins was quite a trip.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I lost a lot of my friends. I'm just like, oh, maybe don't start there. But it's just Like, I love that show. And I believe Andrew, who's been on the podcast, we actually got him through Tennant to Matt Smith by getting together at my house and watching the show.
That's right. That is true. Yeah. We had a big get together at your house for the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, he'd refuse. He's like, I'm not giving up Tennant. I'm like, you have to. And I mean, not to say that Tennant's not wonderful, but it's good to move on and experience other doctors.
Sure, yeah. Your first doctor is always your favorite. It's what they say. Wasn't true for me. Wasn't true
for me either.
So Tennant was your first.
Yeah, but I'm a Matt Smith girl.
You're a Matt Smith girl. See, Eccleston was my first, but Tennant is my favorite.
Yeah. You're a Tennant and Rose, right?
Tennant and Rose. Yeah. Rose, my favorite companion. Who's your favorite companion?
Matt and Amy.
Amy. Amy is so wonderful. I adore Amy.
I think it's really funny too that when both of them were off the show, they both shaved their heads for different roles in different things.
That's so true. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, I was so devastated because both of their hair is just perfect. I'm like, what did you do?
Well, and Karen Gillan now she's really like, her movie career is killing it right now.
I know.
The Circle, and of course, Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2, and now Jumanji coming out soon.
I can't wait to see Jumanji. It looks so funny.
It looks so funny. I did not expect that I was going to be excited for it, but it looks good. The trailers make it look good, so I am excited. But her Amy Pond was just phenomenal and wonderful, and I love that character so much. But yeah, Tennant and Rose will always be something sort of special for me, just because that's how I fell in love with the show. Even though I enjoyed Eccleston well enough, I loved Rose right away, and then when Tennant came on screen, I was just like, what is this wonderful crazy man in a box? And it just blossomed from there. He does
have that kind of effect on people.
He does. He's crazy and fantastic, and I love him. But Matt Smith, I think is my appreciation for Matt Smith has grown over the years, and I've gone back and rewatched like those James Corden episodes with Matt Smith.
I know. And what's the baby's name?
Oh, I can never remember the baby's name.
I think is it Stormageddon?
Oh, right, Stormageddon, Dark Lord of All.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, especially now with James Corden's career, as the talk show host,
right.
Those bring such a different type of feeling now that you've seen him in the car karaoke.
Yes. So great.
Love him.
I'm so happy his career took off too, because he's such a fun guy. He's just a blast. But then Peter Capaldi took over, and I wasn't the biggest fan of his initial season. I liked his dynamic with Clara, but
oh my god, I disagree wholeheartedly.
Really?
So that's part of the reason why I fell a little bit behind on Doctor Who, is because I found it so painful to watch him and Clara fight and lie and just scheme at each other, and it was like seeing two really good friends fight, and it was so painful to me, and I'm just like, I don't like this dynamic. And plus, when you had Clara's boyfriend pass away, whatever happened there, it was just more and more. I'm like, this is just, she needs to go. And I loved her with Matt.
Yeah. I loved her overall. I thought I at first I felt like it was more it was more Capaldi's, the 12th Doctor that I wasn't so crazy about in the beginning. It wasn't really Clara. It was more him that I didn't really love. And I feel like they had a hard time finding their footing with him at first and sort of figuring out how he was going to be, what kind of Doctor he was going to be. He was a lot more stern, a lot different than Matt Smith with his sort of zany craziness. I didn't really enjoy that at first, but I still sat through it, and I was like, I got to give it a chance, because to be honest, I didn't really enjoy Matt Smith all that much at the very beginning. So I felt like I owed it, to the show to sort of give it a chance and see what this new Doctor was about, and let him kind of grow into the role a bit. And gradually they've added all this fun stuff that I really enjoy. I mean, I really like this like older. I like that we went from like younger and younger and younger doctors to suddenly an older guy. I love that he walks around in a hoodie and that he has like the Sonic sunglasses and all this stuff.
I like his guitar too.
Guitar stuff.
That was great.
Peter Capaldi used to be in a rock band with Craig Ferguson.
No way.
In Scotland when they were growing up.
Okay, can I make a confession?
Yeah.
The first episode with Capaldi.
Yeah.
He spoke so fast and his brogue was so intense that I didn't understand half of what he said in that episode. And I was like, if this is what the rest of the Doctor is going to be like, I don't know if I can last through this. The second episode, he slowed down. And I think in part it was because of the like actual like location and what was going on and the fact that he was frenzied because he didn't know who he was.
Okay.
But I mean, he got so much better and I managed to like get past that. But I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like I am a couple episodes behind still. I'm catching up on this most recent series that just finished, but in the series 10 Doctor, he like Capaldi really came into his own, and I feel like they gave him the freedom to be a little more fun, a little crazier, a little more like the Doctor that I know and love. So I've really been enjoying series 10 a lot. And I'm excited. I'm sad to see him go now. For a while there, I was sort of like, all right, can we get through this and like kind of get on to the next one? But now I'll be sad to see him go because I've been enjoying the choices he's made and the freedom he's been given this season. But now we have a 13th Doctor coming, and finally they are gonna hand over the reins to a woman. Finally, Jodie Whittaker, who people may know from the BBC's Broadchurch, where she actually played alongside Damon Tennant, which is kind of funny.
Did she really?
Yeah. And she was also in some of Black Mirror. So I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her performances in either of those shows. So I can't.
Neither have I.
Yeah, so I can't comment, but people are really excited. People who have seen her are very excited because they think she's going to bring a really interesting perspective. I'm just excited to see the directions they're going to go. Finally, turning our favorite Time Lord into a Time Lady.
I was like, I kept on reading all of the news leading up to this decision. And I think they announced last Christmas that Capaldi, this was going to be his last season.
Yes.
And I was bummed because I too, like, Capaldi grew on me. I love him and what he brings to the Doctor role because he's like that cool old guy.
Right.
But reading up on it, they're just like, we want it to be a woman. And then Moffat would respond with, we don't want it to be a woman just yet because we don't want it to be for the wrong reasons. So I was sitting there, I'm like, I don't want to get my hopes up. And I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong, but I was doing some like scavenging on who the favorites were for the role, and Richard Ayoade, I think is his last name,
from the IT crowd, and
oh my gosh, as Moss, and he's like one of my favorite characters. And I was like, if he was the Doctor, I'd watch every episode 4 times. Like, so. But when they announced Jodie, I was at a Geek Girl brunch event.
Oh, nice.
So it was really funny. They were like, we're going to announce it after Wimbledon. And my husband was home watching Wimbledon. And I'm like, okay, bud, here's the deal. I have an event. I got to go. It's full of a bunch of ladies who are also nerdy. So you have to watch for the Doctor Who announcement for me. And he's like, okay. So I go to the event and I have my phone out on the table, which of course is rude. And I hate doing that. But I am sitting there and I get a text and he's like, it's Jodie Whittaker. And I like internally screamed. And then I was like, I sent him some expletives in caps back. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I looked up at the table. I'm like, it's a woman. And I didn't put any context around it. And they're like, what? I'm like, the next Doctor Who is a woman. And they're just like, wait, is Moffat still writing? I'm like, no, it's a woman. It's a woman. They're like, wait, Jodie could be a male name. So then we Google it and it's a woman and we're all just like freaking out. And it was just, it was the perfect moment for me to find out because I could
Seriously?
share it with a bunch of geeky women who were also excited.
Right.
But I mean, for me, I was just, I didn't want to get my hopes up. I really didn't. And the fact that they sort of like, especially with the response that it's gotten, I'm sure you've seen some of the articles with all the very upset boys who have seen that they've announced a woman, and BBC is not rescinding, which I think is fantastic.
Right.
And also, why would they? But it's so great that they're offering it up, and I think there's so many legs that this could take.
Seriously,
I would love to see the new interactions with River. I would love to see the new interactions if they could bring back John Barrowman. That would listen. I don't want to like boil down the role of the Doctor to flirting. I don't, because there's so much more. Like, I want to see how goofy they're going to get. All of the Doctors have their own thing, like fish fingers and custard, and you have
sure.
you have Capaldi with his guitar. I mean, I want to see what they're going to do with her to make her goofy and hang off of the side of a building and like, oh no, I've caught myself in another trap. Oh, what a disaster. I want to see what kind of personality she brings to the role. I'm just so thrilled.
I'm so excited. And I'm so glad to hear that story. I didn't know that at all. So I'm like super. That's like so fun. That is so fun that you got to find out in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are upset about it. I mean, first of all, I'm glad you called them boys because they are boys. They're not. It's not how a man reacts to that kind of news. and I feel like everybody is always, there's always some level of being upset when a new Doctor is announced for some reason. He's too old. He's too young. He's too this. He's too that. And
he's not ginger.
He's not ginger. It's always it's always something. And this by no means is this equivalent to that. This is obviously a very different. These are prejudice reasons for being upset. They're not just sort of like, oh, I wanted him to be, I liked Matt Smith, wanted him to stay. There's a level of prejudice involved in the complaints about her. But I find that cooler heads tend to prevail, and people, if you give the new Doctor a chance, if you don't give the new Doctor a chance and you stop watching, fine, you're lost. If you give the new Doctor a chance, people always come around to some degree.
Yeah.
No one is left being like, nope, hated that Doctor from the start and still hated them when they left. That's never been the case, and I don't think that'll be the case here.
Kid. Like, if you're a little kid and you're like, I don't want to try that because that looks like for food, and then you try it and you end up loving it. I mean, like, let her be the Doctor and find her feet. And I mean, also to make a note, it's kind of similar to the female director of the Wonder Woman movie, which is at the top of the box list for like forever now, and has made so much money. And they're just like, oh wait, a woman could be a director? Like, oh, of course,
yes,
let her do it.
Just give her the reins to do it, and watch what happens. And that's Patty Jenkins, I think, is a great example of that. And I based on everything I've seen, I think that Jodie Whittaker will absolutely do the same. I'm so pumped to see, because I think that there are so many different directions they can take this character now that they weren't able to go in before. Not the least of which being, I would love to see the dynamic between the female Doctor and a male companion, and watching her like school him.
Oh my God, that would be so satisfying.
Because the dynamic has traditionally, and there have been male companions up until now, but traditionally, it's the Doctor, this older sort of father figure, teaching a younger woman all about the history of the world and of the universe and everything else. And I would love to see that flipped on its head. And I would love to see, not even, I don't want to necessarily see a romantic dynamic. I just want to see her be the one teaching a male companion. I think that would be super fun.
Yeah, I think it'll also be really interesting to see like how they treat the male characters in the show now that they're going to strictly be companions or side characters, because they have for so long written for a male character. And not to say that writing is hard, but like writing for different lead characters is definitely a challenge.
Sure.
And if you have these male companions, you have Mickey, you have Rory, who both like brought their own, I mean, even John Barrowman, who I can't remember his name in the show.
Captain Jack Harkness.
Yes, of course, Captain Jack. You had these characters that had so many different aspects to them, and then you have Donna, who was very hot-headed, and you had Freema's character, who was very level-headed and really had no romantic interest in the Doctor. She's like, this is not for me, and I'm here for the adventure. And Clara, who is a little bit in the same boat there. And Amy, who just desperately wanted to go away and she had her head in the clouds the whole time, and poor Rory was just chasing after her. But it'd be really interesting to see how they decide to write for the male companion, or if they even go for a male companion. I mean, you have Bill, who I have not yet met, but I am sure offers so much to the show, and it would be so great to see these two females going and like kicking butt in space forever.
Absolutely. Bill, you are in for such a treat with Bill.
I really can't wait.
She is fantastic. She's my favorite since Amy.
Really?
I love her. Yes, I really love her. She's so much fun. She's such like a real person. I know people like her. Like I know that person.
That's so great.
Yeah. I'm really hopped up on her right now, and I'm like, I feel watching series 10, and I'm about halfway through. I feel the way I first felt watching Doctor Who, and I haven't felt that way in a long time. Where maybe part of it's because I'm sort of binging my way through it. So at that time when I was first watching the show, I had like 5 seasons of the show to catch up on, so I had so much ahead of me. And here again I have 13 episodes ahead of me, but and part of that is just so much, there's so much excitement from like, I have so much of this great show to watch, and it's been so good, and there's so much more good ahead. But ever since then, it's been sort of like the week to week trickle of like, all right, we're off for like 9 months, and then there's 12, 13 weeks of new episodes, and then we're off for 9 months, except for Christmas, and then we're off for 9 months.
BBC.
Right. It hurts so much, or in some cases we're off for like a year and a half or whatever. But the slow trickle is always like, I'm liking it, but it's not as good as I remember, when I first started binge watching the show. And this season has felt for the first time in a couple of years like, oh, it's as good as it's ever been, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And in large part because of Bill. And in large part also because, like I said, they've let Capaldi kind of do his thing and let his freak flag fly a little bit. But
do they bring back Maisie Williams?
Not that I've seen yet. I don't think I don't think they did, but I tried pretty hard to avoid spoilers this season, since I wasn't watching week to week. And I just decided to like let it pile up and then binge through it all at once. So I haven't seen anything about her return, but I could be wrong. And there might be someone screaming into their phone right now about what an idiot I am for not knowing that. But I've done my best to avoid spoilers because I just want to enjoy it as purely as I can.
They've introduced so many different characters that like have the ability to come in and out of the show.
That's right.
So I'm just excited to see how they may interact with the new Jodie.
Did you see from where you left off? Have you seen the new version of the Master yet, Missy?
Oh yeah.
I'm really, really intrigued to see the 13th Doctor and Missy interact. I'm really, really intrigued to see the two female actresses get to duke it out there, and like having a female Doctor with her female arch nemesis, I think is going to be so cool.
So I'm a little confused now because I thought I saw that the guy who was playing the Master was coming back.
Ooh, I hadn't seen that.
I saw it ages ago, so maybe it was outdated information.
Well, it could be that, or it could. I mean, this is a time travel show. Like that version of the Master can time travel to different, or the Doctor could time travel back to when he was the Master. Like there's anything can happen with this kind of thing. And given that Jodie and David Tennant have worked together in the past, and the new executive producer, the new like showrunner taking over from Moffat, used to be the showrunner on Broadchurch. He's the creator of Broadchurch. His name is Chris Chibnall. So since he's worked with both Jodie Whittaker and David Tennant, I would really love to see an episode where the 13th Doctor meets the 10th Doctor and they team up for an adventure.
I mean, that would be so interesting. And I know that Tennant, and I think Matt Smith for that matter, have all said that they would love to come back to the show.
Yeah.
I know Tennant said that he would actually love to come back and like take over again, but not to say, hey, not to say that he should do that. I mean, I think it's kind of nice that you give a new Doctor an opportunity. Like, I love David, and I would love to see more episodes with David. And I thought it would be kind of neat if you sort of did that backtracking, like maybe like the Doctor ends up in a coma or something, and he's just reliving these memories, and you could go back as Tennant and see some of these things happening.
See, that would be fun. That would be fun,
Yeah.
or even a special, or a movie, or I don't know. I would a mini series or something. I would love to see a few more adventures with Tennant. But you're right that I think for the good of the show, it's more important to give a new actor, give new actors the chance to take on this character, and not try to rehash the past too much. Guest appearances, specials, that's one thing, but having like a whole new couple of seasons where, like, you know, the 14th Doctor has the same face as the 10th Doctor or something, I think would just be too much. Even for me, for my Tennant love and heart, I think I'd rather just enjoy what already is out there. I can rewatch those episodes all I want, you know, and I don't feel like I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to new fans new generations of fans discover this show whenever a new Doctor is announced. You know, people come on for all sorts of different reasons. There are people who found the show under Matt Smith and were absolutely crazy for the show for those, like, you know, 3-4 years that he was the Doctor, and then we're not, you know, that's the show that they loved. They loved the Matt Smith and Karen Gillan show, and we're not as enchanted with everything that's come after.
Could you imagine if they rewrote it? It's just the Matt Smith and Karen Gillan show.
I would watch them in like a sitcom, like a family, maybe a workplace sitcom. I'd watch that.
Oh, I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Where she's like his work wife, and she's like, yeah, I would.
It's just the Jim and Pam relationship.
Oh yes, give me that.
Oh,
give me that. Funny. I would love to see them in a movie together too. Like, I mean, you know, he's done a few films.
We gotta get Matt into the Marvel universe.
Yes, that wouldn't be hard to do.
No,
that would not be hard
not.
to do. And if we can do that, then, you know, whatever the next team up film
Guardians.
After Infinity War, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I'd be all about that. I would be all.
That'd be so
over
cool.
Or we have to get her in Terminator. Where
she already kind of does like a cyborgy thing when she's playing the one from Guardians.
Yeah, you're right. She is. So it wouldn't be that far off just to throw her in there, and then the two of them could face off. And you have Amelia Clark is also in that, so you've got like the Game of Thrones connection.
Oh, I love Game of Thrones, but that's a different conversation.
That's a conversation for you and Tim to have.
Oh, I'll come back.
As much as Tim is not so much a Whovian, and that's why he didn't join us today. I am not so much a Throny. What do you people call yourselves?
Oh no, I've never decided this.
I've never heard this discussed.
I think it's kind of like when you're not to say that Harry Potter isn't one, because it's kind of like you're a Potterhead, but
sure.
you tend to like align to your house, right?
Oh, right.
You're like a Hufflepuff, which I am, and if you are into Game of Thrones, you kind of align yourself with who you think is going to win.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Which it is Daenerys. So anyway.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Good to know. I have no horse in this race, so that sounds good to me. Whatever. As long as it's not, what's his name, who got his head chopped off. I don't know. That was stupid.
Oh, Ned Stark.
Ned Stark, that's it. Yeah, Tony Stark's dad, I think. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. That's in the Marvel universe, right? Yeah. Anyway.
Oh man, that'd be a crossover.
That would be a hell of a crossover. That would be I would watch that. See, I would actually watch that.
I would watch that too. I think there should be a comic for that.
That actually, like, you know, they've been doing that lately where they had like Star Trek meets the Green Lantern, and they did like The Shadow meets Batman. Like, I would totally, I'd be down to try a couple issues of that particular crossover. Marvel
Copyright
universe.
Beer with Geeks.
Yeah, exactly. Copywriting other people's property since 2017.
Whatever, HBO. Bye.
You got that HBO money, huh? Whatever. Oh man, yeah, but so I think there's so many fun adventures in store for this Doctor, and I am seriously pumped to see where this goes. I'll be really interested to see how they transition this, because she's going to take over in December at the Christmas special. Capaldi's gonna supposedly regenerate at the end of that special. So
oh my goodness,
we may just get a flash of her face. Or we may get to see a couple minutes of her. It's hard to tell, but
I mean, honestly, if they use the announcement trailer as kind of the end of that episode, I'd be so interested to see how she ended up in that forest.
That would be cool to see how do we get from point A to point B.
Which would be such a Doctor Who thing to do.
It really would.
Is it, what was the episode where Amy had the Weeping Angel in her eye? Weren't they in a forest for a little bit of that?
Oh, Ree, that would be real. That would be a really cool way to tie things together.
Oh my gosh. I got chills. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to see, did you see, was this, I think it was leading up to, or no, was this in the 50th anniversary? I can't remember. There was a mini episode where they showed the last adventure of the 8th Doctor, and then at the very end you saw him regenerate into Christopher Eccleston.
I don't know if I saw that.
It was a really short, let me see if I can find it, and I'll put it in the show notes if I can, but it was a really, really short thing. I think they did it for Red Nose Day or some holiday like that, and I think it was a teaser for the 50th.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it was because he didn't, Paul McGann only got to be the Doctor for, here it is. It's on the official BBC YouTube channel. I'll stick it.
Oh, I know what I'm doing after we're done with this.
Yeah, for sure. If you just YouTube search 8th Doctor Regeneration. It's called Night of the Doctor, and it's a little 6-minute prequel to Day of the Doctor, which was the 50th anniversary. That's it. Yes. So we see that's what it was. It's Paul McGann transitions to John Hurt, and then we got to see at the end of Day of the Doctor, we saw John Hurt transitioning into Christopher Eccleston. It's one of those things.
I actually do remember.
You remember
this
that?
now.
Yeah. Okay. So oh man, that was really cool to get to see Paul McGann come back and do that. I would love to see next time there's a big event, whether it's for the 55th or whatever it is, I would love to see some of all the living Doctors be involved in some way.
Yeah, it kills me about Eccleston's relationship with the show.
I know. It's so sad.
If you're not familiar, Eccleston had a really bad relationship with some of the showrunners, I believe, or the writers or producers or something along those lines, and he tends not to want to come back for any new or rehashes of the Doctors. So that's why you only saw the War Doctor with Tennant and Smith.
Right.
He's not interested, and it kills me because he has such a core following of we love Eccleston, and he only had the one season, but he was so great.
He was. It's sad. He says apparently that it was the worst year of his working career, and it was just not a fun time for him, and it's so sad to hear that, because it was such a fun, quirky episode, season of television, and it's cheesy. It's definitely extremely cheesy, and not what I'm always in the mood to watch. But once in a while, I am in a mood for a little bit of cheese, and it definitely does scratch that itch. But it is sad, and he wouldn't even be involved in any way. So that's why whatever footage of him is in the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor special
was found footage of him actually being in the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
having had a bad job like that, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to go anywhere near something like that again.
Sure.
But it's such a bummer because I would have done it for the fans if I were him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
It's kind of a weird situation.
It is. I'd like to say the same. I'd like to say, yeah, I would do it for the fans, but who knows? If it was really that bad, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I hope that Jodie Whittaker has a better experience, and that she is the Doctor for a long, long time, and that when eventually it comes time for her to take off the to step out of the TARDIS, that she is willing to come back for the future, and that we have a long line of doctors who are willing to come back, because there is a tradition of the doctors coming back and interacting with one another from the very beginning, when the first Doctor regenerated into the second to the third. I think although as long as the William Hartnell, the actor who played the first Doctor, was alive, he was coming back for specials where they would, they had one called The Two Doctors, where the first and second Doctor were together, and they had one called The Three Doctors, where the first three of them were all together, and they went on and on like that for several years until they started to die off. But
which is so sad.
I know it is. But in 50 plus years of the show, these things are sadly bound to happen.
And I do like the nods to the old Doctors.
Yeah.
Like you have the new generation, which is what most of us are familiar with, and then you have the old generation from the 50s.
Going back to the 60s, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they do have, they had him come in the museum. Was it McGann?
It was Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor.
Ah, yes. And I mean, like, he's wonderful too. And he was wearing the scarf and everyone's excited. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of, it's such a nice nod.
Yeah, because like this used to be really a kids show, and for people who have held on to their love of the show for decades to be able to now see the nods to this thing that they used to love as kids and be able to watch it now as adults, that's so special. It's something that we don't really have the experience of, because we discovered it, as adults pretty much. It's nice for them to have that, and I enjoy it. Not ever having seen anything before Christopher Eccleston, because it's not easy to come by that stuff here in the States. It's really, really cool to see those little nods that I understand. Like, okay, I get that's Tom Baker, I get it, and that scene at the end of Day of the Doctor where you see all 12 Doctors team up to save Gallifrey. And even Peter Capaldi, who hadn't taken over yet but had been announced, and we knew his face, and you got to see the eyebrows in that extreme close up. That was cool that there was a little nod to the Doctor to come.
They also do that so I'm catching up, and I just watched the last 2 Christmas episodes, and one of the Christmas episodes is where Capaldi meets River. And
yes.
I don't believe he had met her before, because she didn't recognize him. And I was like, all right, where in River's timeline are we?
Right.
Like,
right.
Are we at the very beginning? Are we it's always confusing when she shows up, but it's also always so fun.
It is.
So she has this wallet photo chain that she pops out, and it's all of the faces of the Doctor except for Capaldi. And he's just like, but I'm the Doctor. And she's like, yeah, you're the surgeon who's trying to help my husband. Whatever, dude. And like eventually she just goes out, and she has all these feelings and just so much like, I love the Doctor. He'd be standing here right now if he loved me back. And like then she realizes it, and I'm just like,
Aww. I hope they decide to bring her back. I know that her timeline, we've gone back now to where their 2 timelines are going back in opposite directions, and we've reached the end of her journey, but she's a time traveler, so there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to run into her again.
Definitely. I don't think that her time on the show is over by any means. And so, okay, I don't know if you saw this news, but I saw this pop up on my feed yesterday. Jenny, the Doctor's daughter under Tennant.
Oh, yes.
Is going to have a spin-off series.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm really interested to see what's going on with that, especially since that's been one of those unanswered questions for God knows how long. You have, it's like, okay, well, what happened to her? Because she stole a spaceship and she's off like somewhere.
Right.
And, I would love to see her come back somehow and be like, oh, hey, I'm over here. And I'm the ruler of this planet. So come visit me whenever.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I'd love that. I would love that, especially because she already has so many connections. So she was Jenny. And then do you know who her father is?
No.
The actress, Georgia Moffat, her father is Peter Davison.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about this.
Yeah, her father is Peter Davison, who was the 5th Doctor. And then her husband is David Tennant.
Yeah, that's so nuts, too. Like, oh, yeah, you're playing my daughter? Okay.
Wait. It's crazy.
Only in the Whovian universe.
And her last name is Moffat, no relation to Stephen Moffat, but still, that's just, it's all these weird connections.
Fun trivia.
Fun trivia. But oh man, what a blast! Well, I'm excited, and clearly you are too. And it was really good to talk about this with you and hear your perspective on this. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. Anytime you want to talk Doctor Who, or with Game of Thrones with Tim, I'd love to chat with him about that.
That sounds good. We're gonna have to make that happen. But let me know. Let me know.
Ending soon.
I know. Winter is here, so.
Like the overused line of the century, I think.
Absolutely. God, it's like I thought Save the Cheerleader, Save the World was everywhere, but really, like, this is
Can I
everywhere.
say that I don't know that one?
Oh, really? That was, it was like a 10-year-old reference, so I don't blame you. It was Heroes on NBC. But that was
I missed that boat.
Oh, all right. That was a great boat. That was a really good boat. I want to talk about that
Maybe
boat one
I
day.
can get on the boat on the way back.
It's worth it. The first season, anyway, was real amazing television. But that is a topic for another show. Rhi, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you if they want to find you on the internet, if they are so inclined?
Oh, well, I'm actually at Bake Rhi, R-H-I. I am constantly tweeting about really nerdy things, and also all of the cookies that I'm baking in my kitchen that you likely can't eat. But I'm sure Frank can attest that they are delicious.
Oh, so good.
I post the recipes on my blog. It's bakery.com. And come hang out with me. And I'm also really into comics now. So if you have comic suggestions, please tweet them at me.
Awesome. I will, if you're okay with it, I'll put your Twitter and your blog in the show notes if people want to find you easily from there.
Sure.
Cool. But in the meantime, you can find us at Beer with Geeks at beerwithgeeks.com, beerwithgeeks@gmail.com, at beerwithgeeks on Twitter. Of course, thoughtbubbleaudio.com is your source for all things this show, as well as Supergirl TV Talk, as well as Tim's new show, Academy Rewind, where he and Palmer go through all the Oscar Best Picture nominees. That's right, nominees, not just the winners, all the nominees, 1 year at a time. Very ambitious project. They're rocking right now. So check all those shows out at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can find this show on iTunes as well. Don't forget to leave us a review or just a simple rating. Tell us which Doctor is your favorite when you leave us a rating or review. And I think that pretty much puts a button on things. Of course, if you want to support us at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio, that is always appreciated, because that helps you to get episodes of this show sooner than anyone else. It helps you to get episodes of Academy Rewind sooner than anyone else, and little previews of upcoming shows, little outtakes and things like that are just for our Patreon supporters, as well as other benefits you can find over at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. So thank you so much to everyone supporting us there as well. All right, you want to call it a day?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. But until next time, folks, cheers.